your team still needs you for every decision, it's not because they're broken. It's because everyone's brain, including yours, is wired to keep you in control and them dependent. In this video, I'll show you the exact team system my clients use to turn their team into true owners. So the business runs without them and a set number of hours per week. Hi, I'm Dr. Shannon Irvin, author of the best-selling book, The 67-Day Year. I'm a 20-year business owner, vet, a PhD in the neuroscience of scaling, and I've helped build 5 8-figure companies that exited 3 of them at a 20x multiple. I advise founders managing over 1.2 billion in business results using science-backed scaling systems. Your brain won't let you delegate, and neuroscience proves it. Because let's be honest, normally when you delegate, one of these 3 things happen. Number 1, it gets done wrong and you just accept it. Number 2, it feels like it takes way longer to explain how to do it than to do it yourself. Or 3, you delegate and then you have to redo the work anyway. Your nervous system thinks delegation equals danger. When you hand something off, your brain predicts, well, if they mess this up, I'm going to pay the price, and you just grab it back. And this starts this cycle of hiring, and training team members to allegedly take things off your plate. But in reality, you are as wired to not let go. And so you have those 3 things happen. You just do it yourself, or you notice things that are wrong halfway through when they're doing it. You're just hardwired this way because it predicts that's going to happen. Now, the reality is for your team, their brain predicts if I take full ownership and I fail, I get blamed. And so what do you think they're going to do? If that's the cycle, they're going to wait. They're going to ask you. They're going to have you decide. They're going to have you get the details going. They're going to come to you with the Slacks, the text messages, all the things. What would you do? How would you handle this? What do you think about this? How would you go about this? All of that is making you, as the business owner, feel like you're drowning, like you can't breathe. They would just do the thing right. Then I would finally get my time back, where you haven't known up till now that this is your brain wiring to not let go, and their brain wired to not get blamed. And this cycle goes on and on and on. This is what we call the founder's operating system. Because the truth is, you needed to do all that when it was just you, right? You had to do all the revenue, everything that the team's doing now, all the operations. And then as you hired people, the operating system never changed. It still revolved around you. So the result is the CEO has the central nervous system and team become task doers, not owners. And let's just be real. This leads to CEO, business owner burnout, because everything keeps coming back to your final approval. There's not a system that allows your team to own the day-to-day operations and own revenue generation. That's why the Slack, the Asana, the Monday, the text messages just all cycles back to you. The CEO as the central nervous system and the team as task doers. We fix this by changing the system, not your personality. Your personality is absolutely fine. You're doing what you've always done and expecting a different result. That's okay. But here's the thing. We've got to fix it by changing the system. When roles, numbers, and rhythms, they're clear, both your brain and your team's brain relaxes. And ownership becomes safe and predictable and profitable too. That reminds me of my client, Krista, who came in where her business was doing about $60,000, $70,000 a month. And she was running the entire business through her text messages. She owned every key element of the business. No operating system, no way for her team to own. Now, here's the key. She had an amazing team. She had a team that wanted to own the day-to-day. But because Krista's a solopreneur and got things started, she was having that tug of war of letting go. We worked with her. We got this team system installed. And within 30 days, her entire team owned every metric, every part of the day-to-day. And here's the thing. Krista got 60% of her hours back, her time back, 60% by one key move. And we love doing this is like, so let's see the one place you're spending the most time, and let's see how we can just move that ownership off your plate. We did that. We brought in an editor for her, and she started, first she had to teach them what she expected, and then they did it and she gave them feedback. And then ultimately they took it over, getting 60% of her time back. That's freedom, right? And that's what we got into business to begin with. That's the power of having a system versus being wired for the team to do everything to come to you. big, big difference. And we call that the team system. So how do we start by doing this? First, you're going to take all the key areas of the business. Let's take 2 or 3 things in the revenue area, 2 or 3 things in delivery area, 2 or 3 things in operations. I like to say, answer this question. What are the 2 to 3 things that I must measure in order to be in business? So if you're running webinars, it's webinar attendees. If you're doing service-based businesses, it's calls that are coming in. But 3 to 5 things in each of those areas. And here's what I want you to do. You can do it in a spreadsheet, or, we have a graphic here that's showing you the boxes. You just want to, under each item, you're going to want to put one person who owns the outcome. Now, even if it's you in the beginning, we need to know who is responsible, like we did with Krista, finding out she was doing all the editing and all the ads, right? We needed to know. So that's step 1, is really identifying, when it comes to creating revenue, to delivering what you say you're going to deliver, into the day-to-day operations, 3 to 5 key areas, and who owns each of those outcomes. List the one person who just currently owns it. Whether it's you or you might be on all of them, it's okay. Now, here's the thing I need you to understand. We want to understand the difference between helpers and owners. A helper waits for your tasks and asks you, what do you want me to do? An owner has a result, a number, and an authority. So please don't write the task takers, write the owners. Now, I want to talk about hiring for a self-scaling team, because the reality is I don't want you to hire titles. I want you to hire logic. And most business owners have this backwards. So maybe it's someone to own fulfillment and delivery outcomes beside you. Maybe it's someone to own marketing, which is like leads and media beside you, or someone to own sales, conversation, and calls beside you. Then support, or EA, to protect your CEO hours. Here's the thing. Without starting this team system and really seeing who owns each area, it's very eye-opening. When I first did this, every area I owned. And there was no wonder I was burning out. No wonder my team didn't feel like they could do anything effectively. I owned everything. This changes your world as a business owner or CEO. When you start handing over not tasks, but actual ownership of very specific things that drive revenue or drive results or drive outcomes. Once every major area has an owner, then we give them a scorecard, which brings us to step number 2. We turn every seat into a scorecard. No owner means no ownership. For each owner, you're going to define 2 to 4 measurable outcomes, numbers, clear definition of how it gets done. How do we know that this is working without asking you as the business owner? This is key. So for example, if you are running webinars, how many registered webinar registrants do you need in order to know that you're going to have enough people there to close the right amount of sales? That would be a particular number. Or if you're in a service-based construction business, what about how many calls are coming in looking for a bid? That is going to be critical to the number going down. Or maybe in delivery, we're looking at how many people, how fast is the average person getting to their first win? What is the number? How we know we win without having to ask you. Some other examples, maybe for a marketing owner, is like how many qualified leads per week, or cost per lead, or show rate. For a delivery owner, might be net promoter score, or time to first win, retention. Or for ops and profit, might be cash buffer, on-time billing, or margin. You get the idea. I just want to give you a lot of examples. Here's the thing. Numbers are not weapons. They're agreements that makes everyone's job safer. It makes your team have ownership over those things and start to become decision makers. And the faster they become decision makers, at the beginning, they're not great decision makers, then they get better. And how we do that is something we call the 1-3-1 method. You ask, what's the one problem? Now we run this through a dashboard, so we know, and we're going to talk about that dashboard here in a second. So how you transfer your decision making is just simply, what is the problem? One problem. Give me 3 solutions you would use. Let them come up with those 3. And then what is the one thing that you want to do? Which one of those would you choose? Coach them if it isn't the right one. But then now you're really helping them get decision-making, going to get you out of the day-to-day. Super, super important. The key here is you want to say to your owners inside the business, if you hit these numbers, I stay out of your way. If they go yellow or red, then we're going to problem solve together. Here's the key, that A players just want ownership like this. They don't want to be micromanaged. Now, if you want to see exactly how to build these scorecards for your business, click below and sign up for the free Self-Scaling Business Workshop, where we'll walk you through the exact steps together to make sure it's set up correctly. Now, finally, I want to talk about an accountability rhythm. We need to install weekly team accountability rhythms that create consistent, beautifully perfect weeks without you having to be in the day-to-day. If I were to ask you, is everyone working on the most important task to move the business forward each day? What comes to mind? I know, exactly. And it probably isn't your team's fault. We just need to install an accountability rhythm meeting. So one simple meeting that replaces all the chasing, all the nagging, all the got a minute, text message, Slack message, etc., all day long. All right. So here's what I need you to know. Same time, same day, every single week without fail. So what's the agenda? First, we go over quick wins. It's kind of a nervous system check. 1 to 2 minutes each. Just keep it really, really human. And then you open up the team dashboard. The owners, each area has an owner. They have about 3 to 5 numbers. For each owner, you're going to ask the following. Are your key numbers green, yellow, or red? If they're yellow or red, you can ask what happened and what's your plan this week to change it. Remember, 1, 3, 1. You're going to capture 1 to 3 commitments that they own in writing. So you're going to ask questions. You're not going to rescue, tell them what to do. What support or decision do you need from me to execute that plan? What will we see on the dashboard next week if this works? This is creating ownership. And here's the thing. When you do this every single week, you replace 40 hours of reactive management with 60 to 90 minutes of high leverage leadership. So crucial. This is where freedom comes from. Now, here's the thing. Operators hoard decisions. Scaled CEOs build systems where smart people own those outcomes. In the last video, we built your CEO system. This is the matching team system that plugs into that CEO dashboard and weekly rhythm. You can get to that there. If you want help mapping out your team system, who your first real owner should be, what numbers they should carry, and how to really run this rhythm, I walk you through it in a self-scaling diagnostic workshop, completely free. The link is down below. In our next video, I'm going to be deep diving into the one system that every 10, 20, 50, and $100 million business owner use, and it is your scaling system. So make sure you come back and watch that video, because that is going to show you, how do I drive revenue? How do I drive decision-making without me in the center of it all? All right, that's what I have for you. Bye for now.